I heard a speech by the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Rowley, that forced me to respect this man even more. Take a listen to this.
You can't miss this protocol. Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley, Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Once again, brothers and sisters.
Thank you very much. His Royal Majesty Otumfo Osei Tutu II, the Asantehene of the Ashanti Kingdom. Senator the Honorable Randall Mitchell, Minister of Tourism, Culture and the Arts. Ministers of Government, Paramount Chiefs of the Ashanti Kingdom, Queen Mothers of the Ashanti Kingdom, Ms. Zakia Uzuma Wadada, Chairman of the Emancipation Support Committee, Members of Parliament, members of the Emancipation Support Committee all, brothers and sisters, welcome to our emancipation celebrations. This is a welcome to our long-lost family. I speak of loss because it was a loss, calculated over centuries. It was one that forcefully sent millions of African people to this side of the globe, with the vast waters of the Atlantic separating us, disconnecting us from our African ancestry. For us, the concept of history was Europe's. History was theirs, and it was ours. We were told and taught for many years that Africa was a dark continent. Its people primitive, for some even subhuman. Its civilization also dark, foreign, and in many references, it did not even exist. In the eyes of some, even today, the melanin in our skin condemns to derision and discrimination. So generations of the enslaved on this side of the Atlantic grew up knowing little or nothing of Africa's history, the diversity and greatness of its peoples, its ethnicities, its empires, their wars of resistance to European domination, and of Africa's contribution to world civilization. Worst of all, on this side, we never truly enjoyed the genuine bonds of our blood and family relations with Africa. So today is indeed a significant day. It is significant to our citizens of African descent, and particularly to our younger generation, many of whom are witnessing and discovering for the first time the presence, stature, and majesty of African royalty in our midst. Hopefully, from today, the word "there," which implies something foreign, other, or of distant ownership, will be changed, and we will begin to share and embrace every aspect of both our lives as ours, meaning that on both sides of the Atlantic, African people will see the oneness that we carry within us. Then we will be separated only by the narrowing of the Atlantic Ocean. Your Royal Highness, we in Trinidad and Tobago are indeed appreciative of this visit, and particularly at this time as we commemorate the emancipation from African enslavement in 1838. Historians on both sides of the Atlantic have written volumes on the torturous experiences of our ancestors, who in some parts of the Americas were equated with animals in the fields, to be flogged, bought and sold, and the idea of family was erased with extreme brutality. Enslavement over some 400 years meant not only dawn to dusk work in the fields, but a destruction of all of the enslaved's cultural support. His or her personhood, their family systems, religion, music, art, culture, language, this being our lot. The concepts of ownership, asset, and wealth were clearly not meant for us, according to them. One historian describes us, the descendants of the enslaved, as victims of an African cultural holocaust. Another historian suggests that there should be a middle passage plan for Africans, with Europe giving reparations to areas of the diaspora, similar to the reconstruction designs of the Marshall Plan, which was effected after World War II. You will no doubt be familiar with the continuing efforts and appeals in this area to the former European colonizers. Some, the direct beneficiaries of this Holocaust, prefer to write new revisionist history to pretend that it didn't happen. Some pat us on the shoulder to say to us, let's just move on. It couldn't have been all that bad. And most recently, bold-faced morons are now even suggesting that we should be grateful for, according to them, benefits that were bestowed, unquote, upon us by slavery through language and acculturation. But in spite of Europe's calculated attempts at dehumanizing us, there was always resistance. As C.L.R. James, one of Trinidad and Tobago's foremost literary figures, concluded, African slaves fought back powerfully with the contents of their minds, the memories, the logic, and the resilience of the people. I speak proudly today that what C.L.R. James identified some 80 odd years ago continue to be realized in the contributions of citizens of Trinidad and Tobago to the world stage. For example, we have created and given the world our steel pan, our calypso, our soca music. We have gone on to influence musical forms even in Africa. We have done so, creating the world's first gas-based economy, developed innovations in the oil industry, established the world-class Point Lisa's industrial estate. We can cite our achievements in sport, literature, education, and many other fields, with our scholars occupying major positions at many locations around the world. We are also proud that after serving on the United Nations Security Council at an earlier time, this September, our country will assume the presidency of the United Nations General Assembly. We in Trinidad and Tobago have not been that distant to not have observed and pay homage to you, your Royal Majesty. We have recognized your personal background, your preparatory early work, life and training in the United Kingdom and Canada, and we acknowledge your achievements, particularly your Pillar of Peace Award for the settlement of differences between two royal families, and of course, your Chancellorship of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. I should note here today that the founding father of Trinidad and Tobago, first Premier and first Prime Minister, Dr. the Honorable Eric Eustace Williams, a colossal figure in the decolonization period of the 1950s and 60s, was a close friend and fellow traveler of your President Kwame Nkrumah. This too can be said of CLR James, who I mentioned earlier, and also George Padmore, another distinguished son of this soil and a guide to Ghana's independence. He was certainly one of the significant figures in the early Pan-African movement in London. We are proud to acknowledge and understand that Padmore's name continues to be treated with its much-deserved respect in Ghana. The existence and featuring of the George Padmore Library in Accra is testimony of our long and trusted bonds. On behalf of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, I had the opportunity to kneel and plant a tree in the yard of that library. I am told that it is glowing gloriously and beautifully. I admit that I am personally interested in this aspect with the hope that, along with the commercial prospects in the hydrocarbon business that have been discussed earlier between our people and our governments, there could be some measure of continuous collaboration and exchange between your university and our University of the West Indies and the University of Trinidad and Tobago, as both our regions continue to focus on the advancing technologies and other disciplines as we travel into the 21st century. Your Royal Highness, again, on behalf of all the people of Trinidad and Tobago, particularly on behalf of the African people of Trinidad and Tobago, welcome to Trinidad and Tobago and our Emancipation Day 2023. I thank you for your visit, and I trust that you will enjoy your stay. Welcome and thank you.
I can count on one hand how many African leaders, without regret, would get on a public stage and so zealously express how proud they are of their roots and culture. And to take it even further, talk about wanting to build a bridge between them and Africa. To not feel the need to have to explain himself to others who are listening. Because, that's the thing that many of our people like to do. Anytime we show some type of recognition or love to each other, then we feel the need to tell everybody else, hey, we love you too. Kumbaya. We love everybody. As if we need to say that. As if our actions over the past few hundred years have not shown that we are not hateful people. So I applaud him for doing that.